So starting off with the winners of this offseason, I think it'd be a crime if we didn't put them as a winner. Um, and it's the obvious winner of this offseason had to be the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, they won the NBA title, and you wouldn't think a team who just won an NBA title can make as many moves as they did to improve, but
I was actually talking to Hani about this before we started the episode. Now we know who was really dragging down the Lakers, and it was Magic Johnson, because clearly Rob Pelinka knows what he's doing.
I mean, Rob Pelinka done a great job. Like, and I did not see this coming.
I mean, he earned Kobe's vote of confidence, so that's worth something. But then we saw what he did last offseason in the time that he had after Magic stepped down. And we're like, okay, he pulled off a bunch of good trades with a minimal window opportunity.
And after the whole Kawhi fiasco.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, yo, he did a pretty solid job. And then we move on to this offseason, and this guy's clearly established himself as one of, the upper tier
Like
executives.
He's a very good executive. And it's like just like speaking of the additions he made this offseason, the first one we talked about this in last week's episode, but the first acquisition was the trade for Dennis Schroeder. They didn't really have to give up much of anything to acquire a player that gives them immediate improvement.
18 points a game, around 4 assists.
Floor spacer, can handle the ball. Again, we talked about it in the last episode, but it was a really great trade for the Lakers. Second of all, they acquired a bunch of free agents. So the first one is Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol was signed to a minimum deal. Now, again, Marc Gasol is not the same player he used to be. But again, as Raptor fans, we know the value he brings on the court is beyond the spreadsheet. I mean, sorry, the stat sheet. So, Marc is just a solid defensive player, great playmaker. And for a Lakers team that has LeBron and AD, just having a big as steady as Marc Gasol.
Yeah, he's still one of the best defensive bigs in the game, despite his lack of speed. But you don't need that when you have a defensive player of the year candidate in Anthony Davis.
It's IQ. Marc Gasol has probably one of the best basketball IQ in the league, and pairing that with again a defensive player of the year caliber player in Anthony Davis.
And then on the flip side, on the offensive side, quickly, he at this stage in his career is gonna be a floor spacer for one. Though again, if he can hit his shots, which is after last postseason, it's a big if.
I mean, I was concerned if he can make his layups now.
I mean, that's a done deal. That's not happening anymore. It's threes, so he's gonna have to hit threes alongside, especially AD and LeBron. But then the main thing, his role on the offensive end for the Lakers is his high post offense. It's passing. Still one of the best big men passers in the game by far.
Pairing that with LeBron.
Yeah, pairing that with LeBron. We saw what LeBron and Rondo did from the high post area and their entry passes, their passes to cutters, KCP. Kuzma, I think, really benefited in that respect. The one thing I can say about Kuzma was that I was impressed with him, in the very least, as a cutter this year. Even if nothing else that much impressed me about his game, I would say his cutting definitely improved, and that's thanks to guys like LeBron and Rondo. And then obviously you have AD on the block. Marc Gasol, the high-low entries, the lob passes to AD. It's going to be a fun offense to watch for sure.
Yeah. Marc Gasol was definitely a good addition. The big one, the big surprising addition for the Lakers was Montrez Harrell.
Yeah.
Spurning the Clippers and signing a 2-year, $19 million deal with the Lakers.
Is this the most surprising offseason move for you? I would say
in recent time, I'd say yes.
No, like this offseason.
Oh, in this offseason, yeah, definitely for sure. I just think it's that or the Chris Paul trade to Phoenix, because like at this point,
I mean the Chris Paul thing,
I didn't think he was gonna go to Phoenix. That was
we didn't expect it to happen, but we could see maybe an idea of it coming. I don't think anybody thought Montrez Harrell was gonna go to the Lakers for pretty much the mid level.
I mean, the rumors were like he was gonna go to Charlotte to get a payday. Or like he was gonna go to like the Knicks,
17 mil a year,
a team with like cap space, but no one or he would have just re-signed for the mid level with the Clippers. No one expected this guy to go, let alone
across the hall
to the Lakers for the mid level. It's insane. Like this is an extremely affordable deal for the Lakers.
Like this guy kind of killed his value in the postseason. Clearly, his value in the offseason was not that high. At least not as high as we expected.
Well, clearly not. But I mean, there definitely should have been suitors. I just don't know. Maybe he valued winning a little bit more. I think, at least that's
Well,
assumption.
I think if I remember correctly, he had more money from Charlotte on the table, but he decided to go to the Lakers because he wanted winning.
Yeah.
But again, like I know, like he obviously decreased his value a lot in postseason. But again, personal reasons number one.
Yeah.
You know, so again, justified. But at the end of the day, this guy still won 6 Man of the Year, and it's not like you're asking him to go crazy on the Lakers, bro. This guy's literally gonna be he'll probably be the backup center, I would think,
And
right? And he's not. He doesn't need to go crazy, and then he can literally retain his role that he had with Lou Will because he has Den Schroeder now alongside him.
yeah, no, it's definitely a great pickup for the Lakers. But here's another thing that I didn't actually realize until like on my drive here when I was listening in to a podcast. But basically, Montrez Harrell, his one defensive liability is that he just can't, he's not a rim protector. He's a center, but not a rim protector. But the Clippers didn't have any bigs or anybody to cover up that defensive liability. Well, now you have Anthony Davis. Like Anthony Davis may not like to play center, but any of those undersized power forwards can, good luck posting up Montrezl Harrell. And then if you get to the rim, well, Anthony Davis is right there.
And again, Montrez's defensive liabilities are more a cause of his
Size.
height,
Yeah.
right? His size, not necessarily his motor. Because we've seen, when he's engaged on the defensive end, which he is a lot of the time because he's a high energy guy, he can block shots. He can, try to protect the rim. The main thing is he's just not as big as other big men, right? So you, at the very least, that he won't just like stink it up on defense.
And like we've already seen, like as an energizer player off the bench, how effective he is. And for a team like the Lakers that, when you don't have LeBron on the court, you want some energizers off your bench, which is perfect for
and now they might have the best bench in the league.
Yeah.
Alongside one of the best starting lineups in the league.
Yeah, it's crazy. The last free agent signing that they made was signing Wesley Matthews to a 1 year, $3.6 million deal.
That was a good pickup,
dude. So it was in our offseason outlook, I believe, for the Bucks, where we talked about Wesley Matthews. We said that hey, he was gonna opt out and go to can go to any contender and be effective. So here he is with the Lakers, man. And it kind of sucks, man, that he went to the Lakers, but holy, that's a really good
for $3.6 million. That's it.
Yeah.
And then finally they re-signed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, which I thought was a big one because I didn't know if they were going to be able to re-sign him.
And it was a good contract.
Yeah,
too.
They re-signed him on a 3-year, $40 million deal, and then they re-signed Markieff Morris on a minimum deal, and he apparently spurned the Clippers to come back to the Lakers. So that's cool. In terms of losses, obviously they had Avery Bradley who went to Miami. I think it's not as big of a loss because they literally played the whole postseason.
I mean, they won without him.
Yeah, they won without him.
No offense to Avery Bradley, but you weren't there.
And then JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard were shipped off pretty much because they re-signed with the Lakers.
Well, Dwight Howard was the interesting one. Like, JaVale was traded after the Marc Gasol fiasco.
JaVale picked up his player option, but then the Lakers needed space for Marc Gasol, so they traded him to Cleveland. Dwight Howard was an interesting one because of the fact that he announced that he was going to re-sign. But clearly what happened was that the Lakers had a offer for him, but then I guess they ended up getting Montrez Harrell, and then they pulled the offer. So I kind of feel bad for Dwight Howard in that sense. Yeah. But, so Dwight Howard ended up going to the Sixers. And then finally, Rajon Rondo, we knew he wanted to at least get a bigger payday.
But that's what makes the Dennis Schroeder trade a great one, because what a good contingency in case Rondo decided to leave, which he did.
Exactly. And it's not like you still have your primary ball handler on the team is still going to be LeBron either way. Yeah. Right? So now you have Dennis Schroeder to help out and, pick up where Rajon Rondo left off.
Yeah.
Not in the same role, but, they can do a lot of the same things. And Dennis Schroeder is definitely a better option on the, scoring side of things.
Yeah. I mean, overall, this was a great offseason for the Lakers. They essentially filled every hole on their roster, and they improved at every single position. Like, I looked at their depth chart, which we were referring to. They have so much depth, man. Like, they have a great starting five of LeBron. So, sorry, it would be, Schroeder.
I don't know if Schroeder would start for them. I think it would be probably LeBron, KCP. I would think
Wes Matthews,
yeah. AD and
Gasol, yeah. And then off the bench you have
Schroeder, Harrell,
yeah,
Kuzma still. Kuzma. Hopefully he can improve. That's a big one this year.
I still say to trade him. I'm just saying.
He might get.
You said Kuzma's good at cutting. You know who else is good at cutting? LeBron. Good at cutting players. Look, man.
GM.
The GM.
Shout out to Smooth.
Just saying. But yeah, no, the Lakers have so much depth now, and honestly, at this point in time, they are. I guess I'm gonna say it. They're clearly the title, the favorites to repeat as champions.
Yeah.
As of right now. But yeah, great offseason. Credit to Rob Pelinka, man. I did not see this type of offseason coming from the Lakers, especially after winning the title.